What if Mace Windu survived and trained Luke in Vaapad? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Obi-Wan and Yoda finish clearing out the Jedi Temple's courtyard when they see a hooded figure stumbling out of the temple. His hood falls back, revealing the bald head of Mace Windu. He suddenly lurches to one side as Obi-Wan barely catches him. Glancing down, the Jedi Master's eyes widen as he sees Mace's condition. One of his hands is gone, and deep burns are running across his body.
Master Windu, what happened?
Palpatine. Too strong. Skywalker betrayed me.
He holds up the stump of his arm and shakes his head. Yoda helps steady Mace as the three make their way inside the temple, where they glimpse security footage and see him cutting down not just Jedi Masters, but also younglings. Mace's anger boils over as he smashes his hand over the console. When the footage ends, the three wonder how Anakin could be the one to bring balance to the Force after this. They can sense the dark side growing stronger, particularly overwhelming them with its presence. They are far beyond the point of balance. Obi-Wan, however, reveals a secret. Anakin will have children, and Padme is the mother. They are soon joined by Bail Organa, who offers to take them there, while Obi-Wan confronts Anakin on Mustafar. Mace considers everything that happened. His thoughts are marred by the darkness surrounding him at every second. Though his technique of Vaapad is meant to expel this darkness, having it constantly by his side is overwhelming. He has dedicated himself to the Jedi Order and serving the Republic for his whole life. Having both ripped away from him leaves him with nothing. Even the defeat of Anakin does little to satisfy the silent rage burning in Mace. As they watch Padme give birth to the next generation of Skywalkers, he does not feel joy on this momentous occasion like the others, or sadness, only emptiness. He says nothing as he watches the others hold them in their hands.
Hidden they must be, far from the Emperor's reach. Their safety our priority, it is. Only train them when the time is right, we will.
Safety? We've spent years chasing the illusion of safety. How did that end, Master Yoda? How many Jedi are left to see this moment?
Necessary it was. Unseen the Sith's plans were. Time we need to prepare.
Time is a luxury we no longer have. That was our mistake. We spent years planning and preparing for signs, for prophecies, for someone else to act. And now, we're the last remaining Jedi. You want to hide these children, hope they'll grow into heroes on their own, hope they'll defeat the Sith when they're grown. Hope isn't a strategy.
Do you think training them from birth is the answer? We did that to thousands of Jedi, and yet here we are. Besides, they've already lost so much. Their mother, their father. You would strip away what little normalcy they have left.
When the galaxy is at stake, without question. These children are the galaxy's only hope now. Do you want to let them grow up ignorant of the power they carry? In the meantime, how many more innocents will have to suffer before we act?
If we do this, if we train them, Palpatine will hunt them. Are you ready to carry that weight, Mace?
I've carried worse.
Luke, trained the boy shall be. But Leia must be kept secret. Should one fall, the other may survive.
Agreed.
Mace takes Luke in his hands and joins Obi-Wan as they journey to Tatooine, a desolate community on the outskirts of civilization. It is as far from the Empire as they can hope for. Luke is sent with his uncle and aunt, but he grows up alongside his uncle Mace, a war-scarred veteran from the Clone Wars who lost his arm in battle. Not a total lie, but far from the whole truth. Mace comes home almost every day, offering to help tend to their farm, but keeping a close eye on Luke for signs of the Force. Once he begins to display it, Mace wastes no time in pulling Luke aside and showing him his powers. He does this in the utmost secrecy. He explains to Luke the powers of the Force and offers to teach him how to harness it, which Luke excitedly agrees. For the first few months, the focus is on meditation and feeling the Force. Here, Obi-Wan handles most of the work, as he is much calmer. The focus is to understand the Force and feel it around him. Although they start slow, Obi-Wan can sense the raw power in the boy, and he continues exposing Luke to the light side, trying to show him peace and serenity by taking him to isolated places, deep valleys and oases where plants grow. But once he can channel the powers, Mace takes his training to the next level and asks Luke to accompany him to Mos Espa. The city is much the same as when Luke's father left it, a hotbed for crime and corruption. At once, Luke feels the presence of thousands of people all at once. He clutches his head and nearly falls over, though Mace places a firm hand on his shoulder. He explains how a Jedi can only channel the Force if they block all other distractions. Mace takes him to an alley and leaps up toward one of the roofs, taking Luke with him. There he sits down and takes a few deep breaths, making Luke follow as they let the Force flow through them from all across the people. Luke has a harder time, but with some practice, he eventually manages it. Once Mace is satisfied, he takes Luke to the seedier parts of the city. This time the pull of the Force feels different, more aggressive, and much darker. It calls to Luke, inviting him to do the same, whispering into his ear that with his power, he can do much more. Mace watches him carefully, seeing Luke's face darken, and then grips his shoulder.
You sense the darkness too. It's alluring, always calling to you. Those are the calls you should resist the most. That is what I will teach you.
Rather than pull Luke away, he leaves him there, but begins to show him his Vaapad technique and pushing the dark side energies away. It is a difficult training plan, and Mace does not pull any punches. He constantly pushes, letting him spend hours training to hold the dark energies at bay. Obi-Wan strongly disapproves of this training, seeing how troubled Luke is from seeing these, but Mace remains adamant that it will serve a purpose. For years, Mace continues to hone Luke's skills, training him to harness the power of Vaapad. For years, Mace trained Luke relentlessly. Their lessons combine lightsaber drills and Force techniques with the hard practicality of survival in a lawless galaxy. But it was Vaapad, the aggressive and demanding lightsaber form that Mace had once perfected, that became the cornerstone of Luke's training.
Vaapad isn't just a fighting style. It's a state of mind. You don't just resist the darkness. You channel it, control it, turn it back on itself. The moment you hesitate, it consumes you. You hesitate, you die.
As Luke's skills grow, so do Mace's expectations. One night, after Luke successfully disarms him in a sparring session, Mace presents him with a new challenge.
It's time. You've seen the darkness long enough. Now, you fight it.
Fight it? How?
Mace gestured toward the city below, where the faint glow of firelight and the distant sounds of blaster fire marked yet another gang skirmish.
There are criminals down there who prey on the weak, who thrive on fear. We're going to stop them.
That night, they strike at a spice warehouse controlled by a local syndicate. Luke, armed with his father's lightsaber, moves in with Mace alongside him. The pair appear like phantoms. The Pike gang is unable to react as they are cut down. This quickly becomes the first of many attacks. All across the city, criminals, gangsters, and pirates are all ambushed and taken out. Word spread quickly of a mysterious enforcer in Mos Espa. Even the Hutt's gangs aren't safe. Luke strikes in the dead of night, sabotaging syndicate operations, rescuing prisoners, and redistributing stolen wealth. One day, after dismantling a gang's hideout, Mace speaks to him.
You've done well, but the galaxy is bigger than Mos Espa. You're making enemies who won't take this lying down. Be ready.
Mace's warnings prove prophetic as these stories reach the Empire, hearing reports of Jedi activity and dispatch a pair of Inquisitors to investigate. The confrontation came suddenly. Mace and Luke clear out a local gang hideout to see them waiting for them, their blades casting a crimson glow in the darkened facility.
You've made a mistake coming here.
The two rush at Mace, who pushes Luke behind him, but he blocks their attacks and allows Luke to ignite his lightsaber and stab at them. This forces them to leap back as the two press their attack. Mace targets the taller Inquisitor, his attacks as relentless as ever despite his age. The Inquisitor tries to spin his blade and stabs at him, but Mace leaps over it and lands behind him, throwing a powerful force push at him. The Inquisitor stumbles and barely slides under Luke's slash, but his partner kicks the Padawan aside and bears down on him. Luke finds himself giving ground, dodging the spinning blade as the Inquisitor comes at him from all directions. He has to be light on his feet as the Inquisitor grins and continues to push him. Luke can feel the pride and anger in his foe. Those flow through him with each attack. But underneath, he senses another dark emotion: fear. Luke pushes through everything else and focuses simply on that, letting it fuel him as he catches the Inquisitor's strike. He then lets out a powerful slash that breaks his opponent's offensive. Now, the Jedi Hunter finds himself on the defensive. Luke springs forward, feeling his attack grow stronger until he slashes through the Inquisitor's defenses and takes his head. Meanwhile, Mace has a similar success as his opponent is on his knees and his lightsaber to the ground. Without a moment's hesitation, he cuts him down. The two of them share a nod, feeling triumphant over their success, but knowing that there might be more coming. As Mace continues training with him, training Luke to master this technique, it comes at a cost as Obi-Wan becomes less and less certain of this idea. The more they train, the more he sees how violent Luke is. Even at his age, he does not hesitate to kill, whether they be Imperials or criminals. More importantly, he doesn't like the attention it brings to Luke. It's one thing to train him, it's another to invite danger to their corner of the galaxy. However, all of his attempts to bring it up with the old Jedi Master fall on deaf ears, as Mace does not take these issues seriously. Instead, he continues to steer the course until Obi-Wan can no longer sit by and watch. One day, he simply departs without a word to them. While Luke is initially despondent, Mace takes his mind off it with training. However, even he sees that Tatooine may no longer be the ideal base for them. After years of training, he thinks it's time for him to journey to other places to hone Luke's skills. They begin to travel across Hutt space and the outskirts of Imperial territories, spreading their vigilante justice and challenging Hutts, Inquisitors, and Stormtroopers. For years, Mace Windu and Luke Skywalker carved their names into the shadows of the galaxy. Each skirmish, each strike against the Empire leaves a grim message. The Jedi are not extinguished. Luke, under Mace's guidance, grows into a skilled fighter, his mastery of Vaapad and his calculated use of the Force rivaling seasoned warriors and old Jedi Masters. Words of their exploits spread far and wide, eventually reaching the ears of Maul, who sees an opportunity. These Jedi, unconventional as they are, could serve his cause. One of his gangs faces Mace and Luke. They surrender in a fight. The gang's leader, trembling, hands over a data disk. Mace activates the disk, revealing a hologram of Maul.
Masters of the Force, your reputation precedes you. I admire your dedication, but your war is a lonely one. You cannot hope to stand against the Empire alone. Come to me. We share a common enemy, and I have a proposition that could turn the tide. Together, we can destroy the Empire and reshape the galaxy.
We can't trust him. He's a Sith. Or at least he was. This could be a trap.
Perhaps. But like Vaapad, sometimes the only way to defeat darkness is to use it against itself. If Maul wants to destroy the Empire, then he can be a weapon in our hands.
Reluctantly, Luke agrees, and the pair set out for Dathomir. The planet is thick with malice as the ground beneath their feet pulses faintly with the remnants of dark magic. Luke feels the weight of the place almost immediately, his hand instinctively hovering near his lightsaber. Maul greets them in the ruins of an ancient Night Sister temple.
You came. Good. I hoped you would see the wisdom in my offer. We came to hear you out. What do you want? The Empire is vast, its grip suffocating. But even the strongest chains have weak links. I know where to strike, If the Emperor falls, so does his empire. But you two cannot defeat him alone. The last time I faced the Emperor, I had him at my mercy. Perhaps. But that was a long time ago, and you are not the warrior you once were.
He gestures to Mace's robotic arm. The Jedi Master scowls in response. Mace raises an eyebrow.
And what do you want in return? The Skywalkers are the key. Both of them are necessary for defeating Palpatine.
Both?
Yes, boy. There is another just like you. Hidden. Guarded. We must find her at once and bring her into the fold. You're strong, Skywalker, but alone you are incomplete. Together, the twins of Anakin Skywalker could bring balance or devastation. The choice is yours.
If what you say is true, I won't use her like that.
I don't know. Think of the potential. The galaxy bleeds from Palpatine's rule. This will give you a chance to reclaim it, to emerge stronger, and to reclaim what is yours. You've seen the darkness, Mace. You know what's at stake.
The Jedi Master clenches his robotic fingers, thinking back to the power he saw in Palpatine, remembering how dangerous he was. He thinks to his friends who fell and how the Republic soon came after.
Very well. If we do this, you follow my lead. No betrayals, no Sith schemes.
Luke looks to Mace, his doubt still evident. Mace meets his gaze.
Trust me, Luke. Sometimes to defeat evil, you must ally with those who understand it best.
After a tense moment, Mace clasps Maul's hand. The Alderaan fortress is silent on the cover of night, its tall, pristine towers casting long shadows across the plains. Mace Windu and Maul move through the corridors like specters, with Luke close behind. When they find her chamber, Maul turns to Luke and Mace.
No mistakes, Maul. We're here to save her, not turn this into a spectacle.
The trio slides into the room, expecting to find the sleeping princess. But instead, they find her in the clothes of a Jedi, her lightsaber ready as she sits peacefully on a chair.
You think I didn't hear you? Or sensed the stink of the dark side? I've been expecting you.
Leia, you don't understand. We've come to help you.
Help me? By forcing me to join this madness? By serving the likes of him? I require no help from savages.
Before Luke can respond, Leia lunges and their blades clash in a brilliant display of light. Mace moves to join in, but Maul gestures for him to wait. Luke moves defensively, hesitant to strike her, but Leia has no compunctions as she rains down attacks on him. Meanwhile, the commotion draws Obi-Wan Kenobi, who rushes into the chamber with his weapon ready.
I knew the darkness would lead you here, and I see you've made dangerous allies.
The Jedi's failure to act is what brought us to this point, Kenobi. I will do what's necessary to save this galaxy, even if it means standing against you. And I've been waiting for this moment, Kenobi. Your time is long overdue.
Luke and Leia's fight grows fiercer, their movements a whirlwind of lights and shadows. Leia's movements are calm, using the cautious but calculating techniques that Obi-Wan taught her. She parries each attack as her strikes grow stronger as she reaches into the Force. Luke finds himself giving ground as his Vaapad fighting style is meant to deal with the dark side, but against a Jedi, she has no dark energies to feed off of. Leia notices this and presses forward, unleashing a flurry of attacks.
Must be difficult to find no power here, but you will fall before me. That is what happens when you spend your life in villainy.
Says the spoiled princess. The galaxy is rotting, and you hide behind Alderaan's walls.
Leia growls, and some rage boils over into her strikes. This gives Luke the boost he needs, and the two continue to clash. Across the room, Mace and Maul engage Obi-Wan in a furious duel. He maintains a defensive posture, allowing both of them to advance on him. Mace's strikes are precise and relentless, while Maul attacks with raw, feral intensity. But none of that gets to him as he parries each attack, before occasionally lashing out like a serpent. One quick jab forces Mace to leap back. Mace responds as his slash almost takes Obi-Wan's neck.
Justice and vengeance are two sides of the same coin, Kenobi. and the galaxy will have both.
Maul snarls and leaps at him, twirling his lightsaber and stabbing at Obi-Wan. The Jedi barely turns it as he shoves Obi-Wan back. He prepares to finish the job, but Obi-Wan drives low and strikes him across the side. The Dark Lord tumbles and Mace leaps up to attack him until a chilling presence fills the room. The air grows heavy. The shadows deepen. From the far end of the chamber, a slow, mocking laugh echoes. Emperor Palpatine steps into the light. The air crackles with electricity as Palpatine unleashes tendrils of Force lightning that arc across the room. Leia rolls to her feet, trying to block the attack, but Luke steps forward and defends her, deflecting the energy away. For a moment, their eyes meet and form an unspoken agreement, binding them. But before they can attack, another figure rushes up to join them. Darth Vader. His presence looms large over the pair as he readies his lightsaber. He whirls to face the two Jedi Masters.
So, you are the ones who stole my children. Neither of you will live through this moment.
The two ready their lightsabers and rush at him. Their sabers flash from either side, but Vader explodes in a burst of movement, his weapon moving with superhuman speed as he rushes at them. The two can barely keep up with his lightsaber trying to block his attacks. Leia is more patient than the two, focusing on blocking and batting aside his attacks to try and create an opening. Meanwhile, Luke forces his way forward, meeting the dark side with a ferocious snarl. The aggression takes Vader off guard as Luke manages to get close and swing at him, though it glances off his shoulder armor. Vader is impressed by this, though, and grabs Luke by the neck and throws him back. He turns to Leia, who decides to go on the attack. Her lightsaber flows as smooth as water, meeting Vader wherever he strikes, and then ducks under his follow-up swing. She makes a stab at his thigh, but Vader reverses his grip and tries to block it. Seeing this strategy go nowhere, Leia leaps back to get some distance and lifts up some chairs to hurl at him. Vader advances slowly, batting them aside. Once he's close enough, Leia thrusts her lightsaber forward, aiming at his helmet, but he shoves it aside with the Force and then strikes her across the face, leaving her stumbling back. Vader looms over but feels something yanking him back as Luke stomps on his cloak before pulling it back and trying to slash his lightsaber at him. But Vader rips free from his cloak and parries the attack. Leia tries to sweep his leg as she leaps to her feet. The two go on the offensive, throwing attacks with surprising coordination as whenever one goes high, the other strikes low. When the one distracts Vader, the other slips inside his defenses. This leaves Vader struggling, and Leia takes advantage of this. Suddenly, her wardrobe flies open and all her clothes come flying out like a storm. Vader tries to block these, pushing them aside using his lightsaber, but they at least manage to obscure his vision until the wardrobe itself crashes onto him. Mace Windu, meanwhile, feels the dark energy radiating off the Sith Lord and channels it all in a set of angry strikes. Palpatine laughs and blocks against each one, while Obi-Wan joins from the other side. For one last time, the two stand side by side in this battle. Their movements are quick and aggressive, slashing their lightsabers at him. Even with two opponents, Palpatine is more than a match. He whirls, and his lightsaber turns into a blur as he defends against each one. But rather than yield, they both continue to press against him, trying to get closer. They manage to score a shallow wound on his shoulder that slows him down a fraction. Maul takes this as an opportunity to strike, rushing forward and slashing at him. Palpatine is ready though, his eyes narrow. He blocks the whirling thrust and throws himself at Maul, letting his weight shove him back. The Sith apprentice gasps at the force of the strike. He catches himself and whirls around, trying to send sparks whirling around him. Maul tries to use this to distract him and advance on him. But Palpatine leaps over these attacks and kicks Maul toward Obi-Wan. As he catches the Dark Lord, the Emperor rushes forward and plunges his lightsaber at them. The Jedi Master manages to dance aside, but Maul isn't so lucky and is run through. As he falls, Palpatine laughs and unleashes another wave of Force energy that throws them both back. They slam against the wall, leaving Luke and Leia to face him. They throw synchronized attacks, forcing Palpatine to defend against both sides. The twins' contrasting forms make for a dangerous combination as Luke absorbs the dark energy Palpatine unleashes, while Leia cuts through his weakened defenses. For the first time, panic appears in Palpatine's eyes as he tries to block their attacks. He tries to step back against them and unleash a burst of dark energy toward them, but the twins lock their defenses and hunch down. They thrust their hands out and dissipate the darkness. In a matter of seconds, it vanishes and Palpatine is left vulnerable. The two drive their lightsabers forward, right into his stomach. His eyes widen, and then he drops to the ground. But as the dust clears, Mace is the first to stand up and look at Luke.
Well done. Now there's one final target.
He points towards Darth Vader, who is struggling under the wardrobe. Mace twirls his lightsaber and prepares to bring it down. But as he tries to cut him, Luke blocks his attack and pushes it away as he raises his lightsaber defensively. Mace gives him one long look before sighing.
So, it comes to this. Very well. Whatever happens, my teachings will live on.
Mace readies himself and prepares to strike as Luke feels the dark energy flowing through him. But as the Jedi Master lunges forward, a blur from behind cuts him off as Leia swings her lightsaber. The last thing Mace sees is his student looking down, sadly, at him. Palpatine is dead, and without him, the Empire enters a phase of chaos as there is no one immediately ready to succeed him. Although Tarkin eventually takes command of the Imperial forces, it gives the rebels much-needed time to prepare. Alderaan declares open rebellion, and soon many planets join in. With the 3 remaining Jedi at their head, they develop a powerful support base, especially Luke, as many citizens remember the help he gave them throughout the years. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.